Hey guys, Telegram Sam here. If you don't already know, I have an Instagram. It's telegram underscore Sam underscore vinyl. So if you're on Instagram, check me out on there. But today's video is just a recent vinyl pickups where I show you guys the records I have bought and listened to these last 2 weeks. First off, we're going to start off with the 7 inches. First up, we have this Buick McCain backed with Born to Lose by the Cynics. This is a OG 1990 US press. I would describe this as garage rock. This was the Cynics' 8th single, and Buick McCain is a cover of the T-Rex song. Obviously, it's sort of nod to T-Rex with the cover there. And obviously, Born to Lose, originally done and written by Johnny Thunders. This is a killer 7-inch. I especially really love their version of Buick McCain. They crank the sort of thump and blues rockness to like 11 on this, even more than T-Rex does. So yeah, I really dig this. And this one just came on, I think it's Wizard Artists Limited. I think that's the label. I really love Source Spiral label on that. This one is really cool. I was really stoked to see this. I had no idea this was a thing. But this is a 7-inch promo for the documentary called Mayor of the Sunset Strip that was about Rodney Bingenheimer. If you haven't seen that, I highly suggest it. It's such a great documentary. Rodney is a very weird and interesting person who just happened to be friends with all of these celebrities in LA, and he had a radio show for the longest time. I think he still might have one. And then he had Rodney's English Disco, which was this huge nightclub on the Sunset Strip in LA in the 70s. But yeah, really cool and interesting guy. Yeah, I guess this was a promo 7-inch they sent out before the movie came out. It even comes with like a little informational postcard talking about the movie and who Rodney is. But yeah, this came out in 2004. This is an OG US press. And you have some sort of dialogue tidbits, like the intro about who Rodney is. And then there is the live version of X doing Los Angeles. Oh my god. That was part of the documentary. And then you also have Rodney doing his own little song called I Hate the 90s, which is really fun and interesting. But yeah, this is so cool and such a cool piece of that movie to have. And this one just came on black vinyl with these cool custom labels of Rodney. This one's another cool one. I think this might be the oldest single I currently have in my 45s collection. But this is Poison Ivy backed with I'm a Hog for You by the Coasters. This is original 1959 US press. So that's 60? No. That would be 70 years? Almost. This thing's almost 70 years old. I can't do math. But yeah, the Coasters are a great like early rock, R&B soul group. This was their 7th single, but I particularly got this for the song Poison Ivy. I love that song. A lot of other bands have done covers of the song. The Coasters were the original ones to do it. It was written by the famous songwriting duo Liebler and Stoller. And it's funny because this went to #1 on the charts, and essentially is a song about STDs. And yeah, if you definitely read into the lyrics, I even think either Liebler or Stoller even said it was about STDs. And at some point in the 1950s, this was the #1 song in America, so that's pretty hysterical. But yeah, anything by the Coasters I collect. I just love them. I love their sort of, I don't know, it was almost like campy rock and roll soul R&B music. I just love it. And next up we have Give Me Some Money backed with Don't Love Me by the Gories. This is original 1991 US press, great garage rock. This was their third single, and the song "Give Me Money" was originally done by the mock rock group Spinal Tap, and the song "Don't Love Me" was originally done by Bo Diddley. And this was the 36th release from the first volume of the Sub Pop Singles Club, and it just came on this red vinyl with the classic Sub Pop label. But the Gories, the best way I can describe them is like proto White Stripes. I mean, I would be absolutely shocked if Jack White had never heard of the Gories before he started the White Stripes, because the White Stripes pretty much ripped off the Gories, and they're even better than the White Stripes in my opinion. So if you like the White Stripes or bands like the Black Keys, definitely check out Gories. They're awesome. Next up for the long plays. So a lot of record stores in Portland have just been getting these killer collections of punk records. I don't know if people are just losing interest in it, or just getting rid of their old collections because they need some money, but hey, I will take it. So a lot of these are punk albums. Sorry if you're not the biggest fan of punk, but there are 2 or 3 albums I wouldn't consider that. But first off, we got Half Alive by Suicide. This originally came out in 1981, and this is a 2003 US press. I would describe Suicide as like electronic, post-punk, no wave as they call it. This is a comp of live recordings from 1978 and home and studio demos that were recorded between 1974 and 1979. If you aren't familiar with Suicide, I would say Joy Division and later on New Order would totally rip them off. Just very influential in the sort of early electronic, experimental noise rock sort of thing. Even has the original write-up Lester Bangs did in 1981 when the original cassette came out. So yeah, that was an interesting read. But I've casually listened to Suicide, but I'm currently reading Henry Rollins' Stay Fanatic book that I got when I went to go see him, and he talks a lot about suicide. And I was like, man, I like really need to dig into their work, and I saw this there. And I was like, oh, this is a perfect little starting point. And yeah, I really dig them. I definitely want to find their self-titled debut. And this one just came on a very simplistic Roar white label. Picture of the guys on the back, Alan Vega and Martin Rev. And this was such a cool find. I was so stoked to find this. This is probably my new favorite bootleg in my collection. So this is a Rocket from the Crypt and a Misfits bootleg. This originally was pressed in 1997. This is a 2009 US press. I would say Rocket from the Crypt are kind of more of a sort of alt-rock, kind of punk rockabilly band in my opinion, and you know, the Misfits are the Misfits, you know, just straight up punk. But the Rocket from the Crypt side is made up of radio and TV broadcasts from the UK in 1995, and the Misfits side is a live show that they did in Passaic, New Jersey on December 25th, 1981. The date on here is supposedly wrong, so that's just going from the internet. But supposedly there was only 300 of these pressed. But yeah, I mainly got it for the Misfits side. The Rocket from the Crypt side is okay, but the Misfits side rocks. That's the entire reason I got it. And plus it's just easier to find Misfits bootlegs than their actual authorized albums these days, so I will take it. And this came on white vinyl, blank labels, so you're kind of playing a guess on if you're either getting the Misfits or Rocket from the Tomb. And then next up we have Ballads by the John Coltrane Quartets. This originally came out in 1963, and this is a 1976 US press. I've described this as modal cool jazz, and this was the fifth album John did with Impulse, and this features McCoy Tyner, Jimmy Garrison, and Elvin Jones. Just such a solid lineup, and probably up there as one of my favorite John Coltrane albums. This was kind of like right before he went sort of on the crazy experimental spiritual side, and this is kind of just more classic jazz to me. So yeah, if you're a beginner getting into jazz, this is definitely a great John Coltrane album to start out with. And this one just came on the green ABC Impulse label. And this pressing sounds fantastic. It's in stereo, not mono, but it still sounds stellar. And this one's kind of cool. I just bought this because I really loved the cover art, and plus I just needed some more sort of roots blues in my collection. This is the Party Blues. This is a comp of some old school 1920s and 30s blues songs that talk about partying. There's a lot of songs about sex on here. It's mainly about sex, and then what isn't about sex is about drinking and partying. What it promises. And you have everyone from Dennis McMillan on here, Blind Lemon Jefferson, a few songs by Tampa Red's Hokum Jug Band, Soldier Boy Houston, Memphis Jug Band, Jim Hill and Eddie Anthony, Mississippi John Hurt, Bo Carter, Blind Blake. A lot of cool, just really old school songs on here, and I really don't have anything blues-wise older than the 1950s, so this is really cool. And this was actually came out in 1966. This is a U.S. press, but this was actually still sealed when I found it, so that was really cool. And yeah, I just love this font. I don't even know what you would call that. And the label's really cool too. This is a Melodian label, but like, how could you pass that up? That looks just so intriguing and cool. Next up, we have Stranglers 4, or I'm going to really butcher this, Rattus norvegicus. I guess that's the Latin word for like the brown rat. By the Stranglers. This is an original 1977 UK press. This is a killer rock, punk, new wave album. This is the Stranglers' debut album, and one of the highest selling albums in Britain coming from the punk era. And yeah, Robert Smith from The Cure even said this is one of his top 5 favorite albums. Just a killer record. I'm already planning on using one of the songs on here for one of my upcoming 5 songs I'm obsessed with things. And I really am glad you guys enjoyed that last video. I was kind of like, I feel like I kind of black out when I'm talking about music, so that's why I was like, is what I'm saying making sense? But I'm glad you guys liked it, enjoyed it, and really want me to continue doing it. So that will be a monthly installment now where I play and talk about 5 songs I'm obsessed with. So definitely one of those songs from that album is going to be on one of the future installments of that. And this one just came on, I think they call it the Sunset Rat United Artists label. But yeah, it's really dope. I've been meaning to pick up that one for a while now. And then this is the entire reason I went to Tomorrow Records, because I saw that they had this and I needed to have it. I've been looking for a somewhat early version of this album for a really long time. This is Songs the Lord Taught Us by the Cramps. This originally came out in 1980, and this is a 1982 U.S. press. Rock, psychobilly punk, if you're not familiar with the Cramps. And this was their debut album, which was produced by Alex Chilton, famously from the Box Tops and Big Star. But just one of the greatest debut albums ever, in my opinion. Just, they completely changed the game when it came to rockabilly, psychobilly punk. I mean, if you don't know the Cramps, just get together, get your life right. They do a killer uh, version of Fever. I mean, I don't know how you can't dance to Tear It Up. Um, Strychnine, TV Set, Garbage Man. I Was a Teenage Werewolf was probably one of my favorite Cramp songs. Just nothing but killer and no filler on this album. And this one just came on the silver IRS label. And then I had no idea these two artists worked together, but they're two of one of my favorite groups. And everyone in my apartment building is slamming their door right now, so I'm sorry. But this is the self-titled album by Gang War, featuring Johnny Thunders and Wayne Kramer. Wayne Kramer from the MC5, Johnny Thunders from the New York Dolls, and his own solo stuff. But this is an original 1990 U.S. press. I've described this as rock, garage, blues, sort of. But this is a comp of studio demos and performances they did at Max's Kansas City and New York City. And they were a short-lived group. They only really were together from 1979 to 1980. And yeah, this is really good. The live performances aren't so great. Very dodgy recording, and the band didn't really sound that tight. But the demos on here are really great. Some of Wayne Kramer's greatest guitar work, in my opinion, that I've heard. Just really cool. I just collect anything by the MC5 and Johnny Thunder, so I just obviously had to have this. And this one just came on this DeMillo Records, on this yellow label. And another really cool, great find. This is Disconnected by Stiv Bators. This is original 1980 U.S. press, and I would describe this as power pop, rock, not really as punk as you would think, considering Stiv Bators is from the Dead Boys. This was his only solo album, and it was actually recorded on a basketball courts, Jesus Christ, that was actually next to the studio that they were meant to record in. They didn't really like the clean recording sound they were getting in the studio, so they went to this basketball court, which gave them more of an echoey live performance sound, which Stiv tended to like more. And they actually do a cover of Too Much to Dream by the Electric Prunes, and there's kind of more of a 60s pop thing to this album than you would expect coming from Stiv Bators, who was, part of the Dead Boys, one of the greatest, punk bands ever. But yeah, definitely more of a pop power pump thing than you would think coming from this. But I really dig it, really loved it. I've been meaning to get this for forever, so really glad to finally have it. And this one just came on a red and yellow bump label. And last but not least, we're going to end with some country folk. This is Towns by Steve Earle. This is original 2009 U.S. press. I've described this as rock, folk, country. This is Earl's 13th studio album, and this is a tribute to his longtime friend and mentor, Townes Van Zandt, one of the greatest country folk artists ever, in my opinion. And yeah, he does some fantastic covers of Poncho and Lefty, Colorado Girl, White Freightliner Blues. He does an amazing cover of Lungs, which has this sort of like hard rockin' like blues thing to it. I like that he does his own sort of twist on it. It's not like too faithful to the original song, but it's faithful enough that it's like a Townes Van Zandt song. He puts enough of a spin on it. And yeah, just Steve Earle is just such a fantastic country artist in general. I've been really meaning to get into his work lately, and I saw that he did this Townes album, and I just had to get it. And Tom Morello plays on here. He plays some electric guitar on here. And Steve's son, Justin Townes Earle, who sadly passed away a couple years ago and was an amazing musician in his own right, does some backing vocals on a few songs on here, so that's really cool. But yeah, really stoked to have this. And actually, this is probably one of the greatest sounding records in my collection. It sounds just beautiful. It's loud. It's quiet when it needs to be. I believe Kevin Gray did the mastering for this. But it's black vinyl with this New West Records star label. But yeah, it's a beautiful sounding record. But yeah, that was all the records I've gotten these last 2 weeks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.